It's a brand new day and a brand new week to get the work done. Sometimes the things that look like so much work are actually just, opportunities in hiding. Welcome to the conversation on TOSTV Television Network, your digital first from African News Network. And as always, the conversation comes to you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. My name is Adesuwal. On the conversation today, that's on the big story segment, I'm going to be talking about something that's quite controversial that, has been raising dust for the past, few months. And I have a guest, a very resourced person in the studio to talk about that with me. But before then, I'm going to bring you stories, from across Africa, starting with this sad event from Somalia. So a suicide bomb attack in Somalia on Saturday, the eve of a local election, left at least 13 people dead. The blast in the central city of Beledweyne at a restaurant popular with politicians and local officials also left 18 people injured, state television said. One of the people killed was a candidate in Somalia's ongoing parliamentary vote. That's quite sad, actually. Away from that, to Ethiopia. Ethiopia on Sunday, that's yesterday, began producing electricity from its Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, that's the GERD. The GERD is a multi-billion-dollar hydropower plant on the river Nile that neighbors Sudan and Egypt depend on and said will cause water shortages downstream. But the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, that's Abiy Ahmed, has said they don't have to worry about all of that because the project is key to Ethiopia's economic development. And that's it for stories and happenings from across the African continent. But before I progress to the show, I'll bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. Yes, as I always say, COVID is still out there. You just need to do your bit to ensure that you don't fall victim. So COVID-19 update from across Africa, and then after that, it's straight into the big story. You're still watching the conversation on TOS Television Network. As I always say, you can be a part of the conversation. Just join the TOS TV community on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's TOS TV Network. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's TOS TV Network as well. And of course, stream our website for content and stories from across the world on www.tostvnetwork.com. Now, straight into the big story. So I did say earlier that I'm just going to be talking about something that's been raising dust ahead of the 2023 general election. So Kwankwaso, Professor Patti Tomi and Kingsley Moghalu are, set to launch a third force, what they call a third force mega party to, wrestle power from the leading All Progressive Congress, that's APC, and the People's Democratic Party, that's the PDP, ahead of the 2023 general election. And that's what I'm going to be looking at today. Just looking at, the third force party. Is it actually necessary? Is it unnecessary, or is it a threat? And to discuss that with me, or to help dissect that, is Chibueze Ona KSC, is a legislative influencer and former governorship candidate of Enugu State. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you. Now let's move straight into it. So the APC and PDP had said that the proposed third force mega party is not a threat, to them for the 2023 election and, their victory at the polls. But looking at the caliber of people that we have in the party, that's former Kano State Governor Kingsley Moghalu, Professor Patti Tomi, do you think that they actually, are just bluffing, or they're actually a threat to APC and PDP at this point?
All right. To start with, the issue about third force recently was reinforced pre the 2015 election when the former president Olusegun Obasanjo wrote a letter.
Yeah.
In the letter, he outrightly condemned PDP and APC.
Yes.
Obviously, giving room for the third force to come up, saying that urging Nigerians to come up with a third force and to take power over from either PDP or APC. But the main issue is the third force is feasible and is a very valid political threat to both the ruling All Progressive Party and the PDP. But the thing is, they have two major challenges, and the first one is funding, and the second is structure. So when you talk about funding, Intentionally, the Nigerian politicians at different levels have made it very impossible for candidates to run with less and moderately controllably funding. So they've made the election and electioneering process very expensive in this country.
Yeah.
And that makes it that to form a third force, you must have that kind of money. And now because they have that money, so any third force you have to battle with, do you have that kind of money to share? And because intentionally they have diffused the reasoning of an average electorate in Nigeria, that it's all about money, it's all about exchanging for 1,000, 2,000, whatever, and then people sell their votes and they mortgage their interest for the next 4 years. So people no longer ask you if you're coming, because on the average, Nigerians out there believe that every political party, every politician is the same.
But with the caliber of people that we have, for coming together to form the party, you don't think that funding is actually available on ground?
To be very honest with you, Adesua, they have the money, but it's beyond money.
Okay.
It's beyond money. Now you bring in the second leg, that's the structure.
Okay.
So because these two parties have national spread and they have structures in all these 774 local governments. So it takes a lot to get influencers in those places. So it's not just about those, their credibility and their brand as individuals, or possibly if they have the money. It has to do more with what structure do you have on ground. In the last election, you find out some major political parties, and I don't want to mention names, they have credible candidates, but in some of the local government, they don't have even agents. They don't have any party presence. And you know what the constitution says about the spread before you become a president. So it's a very big challenge. But the truth is a very valid, because at this point, I must be very honest with you, both the ruling All Progressive Party and the AP and the PDP, they have failed Nigerians. And to be fair to the both party, it didn't just start now or start then. This process started deteriorating over and over again. And that's why if you ask some people, they will tell you that they will prefer PDP over APC, and they ask some people, and we have always argued that with what we saw at the PDP at that point, compared to a standard of governance, LV, in a sane climb, it was a failure. But because APC has diluted governance to the point where it is now, we are beginning to think that, give us back PDP. So that's where we are. So if we need a third force, it is fine. And we need a third force that is capable of re-engineering the consciousness of the masses.
Okay, it's good that you mentioned, the interest of Nigerians, right?
Yeah.
The party, the third force, actually, it hasn't been formed yet, but they've actually reportedly garnered, support of political groups and civil society, very credible civil society organizations. Do you think that going by that the third force does reflect the interest of Nigerians and the desires of Nigerians, in the coming elections?
Well, we have never had a shortage of good intentions and possible good analytics about how to solve Nigerian problem. The problem has always been leadership. The problem has always been do it the way it should be done. Before now, people, some of the people in this present administration, they criticized the previous administration. They had every good reasons to do so. But today, we are suffering from the same thing, if not worse, than what we had then. So these people now, when you talk, we have pockets of different third forces or alliances out there trying to form. Some has been formed already. But the problem is, if you watch what happened, judging from what happened in the last general election, it took them time to come together. They are strong in different states and different local government, different regions. But like I said earlier, they don't have the spread. They don't have the structures. So if they are capable of coming together and on time, because what happens, just if you remember when obviously Kwesile had problems in the very tail end and she couldn't just run again because of a party problem and she had to throw herself. But at that point, people had made decisions. So it's not just about saying, get the third force, get this, but they should be also know that they need to work together at this point. Because they are not enough. Your credibility, your personality, your wealth, your influence is not enough to become a Nigerian president. And it demands more than that. So I would say, they need to start talking to each other.
Okay.
They need to start cross-breeding ideas. They need to start coming together, because with what we have seen in the country today, it is very obvious we need a third force.
All right.
We have seen the PDP for 16 years. We have seen the APC for 7 years and going to 8 years. So we've seen that these two political parties, they have nothing to offer to Nigerians. So I will advocate for the third force. But these two political parties, if you put them side by side, you would notice that you find very few of them that you can say this person is a PDP man or this person is an APC man. At some point, when it suits you, you cross carpet. So that brings us to the issue of to review and reviewing our constitution. It's a constitutional issue. Okay. Because it makes the constitution makes it very loose. The framework of cross carpeting from 1 to 2 without losing anything has not helped anybody. Personally, I've written some articles where I said that if you have done 2 terms in an executive office, then you need to run for another office. You are supposed to step down for whatever the 1 term is. If it's a 4-term stuff, if you have done 8 years as a governor, you want to go to the Senate, for example, you need to stay at home for 4 years and run on your credibility. So you don't have to just cross from A to B, because that's where they use the power of incumbency and the influencers, and they keep doing that thing. And you see some people who have not left government since 1998. And it's not like they are the best. It's not like they've proffered any solution or made any change. So it's that we keep recycling them. So the problem is not just about, if you go to Senate climbs, you find people who have been in the parliament for donkey years. But the thing is, some of them want to retire, and there are people who don't let them retire. Because they have institutional memories, they have so much to offer. But here, we don't have people who have anything to offer. If you go to National Assembly, for example, if you watch the Electoral Act bill now that awaits consent, if you watch, something very fundamental is in that bill, post 2023 election. More than 25% of the people that made that bill in the Senate, obviously with House of Reps, are former governors. These governors, they already know. They have been, as governors, they have used their powers. And now, immediately they left power, they can't even influence when I mean influence in the good manner, to get someone who is credible to be local government chairman or even councillors, because there is the overarching powers that resides within the governors. So now they are the ones who now at this point said, we can't continue like this. This is the way forward. We need to do electronic transmission of results. We need to do all that and all that. And funny enough, people now who are enjoying those privileges are not seeing it. You know, in Nigeria, just like when we had the former president write series of letters and all that, people were saying, okay, you were there. You had every opportunity to fix these things, and you didn't. And now you are outside and you're writing letters. This is how it is in this country. People regain consciousness when they must have left power. But when it is time, when they are sitting on that seat, is a question of sort yourself out. And when you sort yourself out, then the next person, when he gets, let us tell him how to do. People are planning to, the same people who wouldn't let us enjoy good governance in this country now are the same people who made the previous government ungovernable. So it is a bit of here and there. But all I would say is the electorates out there and the generality of Nigerians, people need to, it's not about political party, to be very honest with you. We've sold political parties a lot, and for a very long time now. So it's about individual.
All right.
And when it has to be individual, we need to know, we need to ask the right questions. So that's why I say educate the electorate. So when you come campaigning, you ask them the right questions.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We're actually out of time. Thank you so much for joining me on the conversation this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for staying with me on the conversation this morning. Do not forget that the conversation comes to you every weekdays. That's Monday to Friday, same time, same channel. But before then, follow TOSTV Network across all social media platforms. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well, and stream our contents on www.tostvnetwork.com. Thank you again, and I'll see you tomorrow.